Al, you're muted.
Okay. Being recorded by a host. Got it. Okay, so with that, I'll call the meeting to order. And we will start. What is that? Somebody, okay. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started with the first application, 10 Morris Avenue, the library. And who I saw that Laura is there. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll turn it over to you, Laura. You can give a presentation on your application, but you have to be unmuted.
Yes, sorry about that.
Okay.
Would you like me to, I was having trouble sharing my screen last time. It says host disabled participant screen sharing. So I also did send the PDF with the side by side views. So I can, it says pretty
You
small.
should be able to share it. I just allowed for you to share. So.
Okay, let me give it a try. Hang on. I guess I think this might have happened last time where there was a preferences. Sorry about this. I should solve the issue. Let me try one more time. If I'm trying to. Yeah, it won't let me share my desktop on my end. So I'm not sure. Is there a way that one of you can share it and I can just walk
Yeah,
you through
sure.
it?
I can share it.
Sorry about that.
No problem. I just had to do the same thing on my computer before we started the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, give me 1 second. It was the you said presentation was the one with
Yeah, I added the word
side.
presentation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, can everyone see this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah, I think most of us are familiar with where the Julia Butterfield Library is. So this is just an aerial view, just for context. And
I'm going to show the elevation first because I think it's easier to understand where we are in the building.
Yeah, sounds good. And so the existing elevation is documented at the top of the page. And basically it's, oh, in this presentation, I did not include the photographs. That would have been helpful. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's fine. Let me open those.
We can pull up those as well. But basically the existing situation is that there is a set of steps at the double door, which is a side door, as well as a ramp. And the steps are in disrepair. I think they've had caution tape on them for at least a couple of years. And I think, you know, Joanna, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on any of the dates. Yeah, you can see in these photographs, thanks so much. The view showing the caution tape, the stairs just need to be repaired. The library has applied for a grant and to repair them, and I think received it. And one of the goals, in addition to replacing it with something that is functional, is to create an actual ADA compliant turning radius at the top of the ramp. So currently if you jump back to the plan, the existing plan and the other document, there is not really room for, you can see you come up the existing ramp, and because of the stairs that notch in, there's not really enough room for a turn. And then at the bottom of this same page, you see what happens if you just replace the stairs with a larger landing area. And the visual implications are represented in the next slide on the elevation at the bottom. And they're really not very drastic. There's not really a drastic difference. It's really, it almost looks neater in a way to me, because it instead of intersecting the center of the door beyond, the landing now extends a little bit beyond the door. And the materials, everything's going to be the same. So, and then when you look at it from the side, yeah, this shows at the top, existing left elevation. That's looking at it from Morris Ave, and then below is what would happen if you it's really just, you're sort of extruding the ground level up to create the landing. And then the same thing from the other elevation. You really barely see any difference on the other side, both in the photographs and in because the ramp is going to be preserved as is. It's really the area of work is really just where the crumbling steps are. So that's it. And I only became familiar with the project very recently. So, but
You're gonna,
forward, and it's really about just making.
Laura,
hear.
unfortunately, you were seizing up. Can you repeat what you said?
Oh, yeah. So where did you lose me, Al?
Well,
Hello?
right when you were talking about, you said, I just recently got involved in the project.
Oh, yeah. So basically, I think it's really the purpose of the project is just to provide an ADA compliant landing area in front of this side door, since you have the ramp, and then replace the steps. That's been a shortcoming of sort of the existing design or the existing build out. And the stairs have not been usable for at least a couple of years, as far as I understand. I think COVID put a pause in the repairs and possibly in the grant application process, but right now there is a grant. The library would like to move forward with the construction, and I think it's really just about making it safe and usable. And I think the one thing that I heard from Johanna at the library is that the director of Butterfield Library is that, the ramp is really not very long. So it doesn't really create, removing the stairs doesn't really create any obstacle. It's not a tough thing to just kind of go down the ramp. Plus it's a secondary, and it's a side door, not a front door. So yeah, and it will bring it up to ADA compliance by providing the turning radiance. So, and yeah, visually you won't see much of a difference, because if you look at the view of the path of this sort of side yard ramp and path from Fishkill Avenue, which is the back of the library, you're really not going to see what's happening at the landing. And then if you look at it from the other side, you also won't. Yeah.
I guess, Johanna, are you on the line?
I think they're having
Yeah, she's having
issues.
chat and us having issues,
Okay.
connectivity issues.
Yeah, and I think she just clarified that this is one of 3 main level entrances. So just in terms of its, that it's a sort of
Right.
not redundant, but secondary, at least, entrance.
Well, and unfortunately, when you say to bring it fully compliant, it doesn't really do that. Only the code requires that the main entrance be handicap accessible, and obviously it's not. This is a side entrance, and the
Right.
other entrance on the other side is a side entrance.
Yes.
But I think that you can make an argument that it's a pre-existing non-conforming condition.
Mhm.
What you're proposing does in fact make the ramp more usable as a handicap accessible entrance.
Exactly.
I think that have you done any of the history of the building? I mean, I'll tell you the concern I have is that Julia Butterfield was a very important character or a patron to the village. She donated the money for the hospital, which was torn down, when they built that development. She also donated money for the church that's right on the corner, and she donated the money for the library. That being said, I think that realistically, and I think the stairs that you're talking about eliminating, I think were part of the original construction. I'm not sure about that, but I think that was when the building was built. Obviously, handicapped accessibility was not an issue, and I think that side entrance was in fact led to the stairs, which came down to the path. But having said all of that, I think that I'm not sure if there is any other alternative. What would be the purpose of having a handicap accessible ramp if it really doesn't provide you access to the building? So I think that there's justification for what you're proposing. But I think,
Julia, sorry,
go ahead.
we're just getting a message saying those stairs were not original.
Then how did somebody access that door?
Well, those stairs, I mean, obviously there would have been stairs originally there, but those were certainly not the original stairs since they're off center from the doorway and they're incorporated
Well,
in the ramp, right? So,
well, but if you look at it, the stairs are halfway through the entrance, and I think that what was there originally was the full width was the stair.
Yeah.
right, yes, yeah, I think probably, yeah.
But that's all nice and good.
Yeah.
It would be nice to have some sort of documentation of the history, since we are eliminating this feature, and just some documentation of what was there originally. I think the rationale for making the ramp more usable overrides any historical, saving the portions of the stairs. I'm not even sure. It would be nice if we could get some photographs of what was there originally, only for record purposes. You think that you'd be able to get some earlier pictures of that?
I'm not sure. I can definitely ask and do some research. I think that would be interesting. I think either the library would have them or perhaps the Putnam History Museum. That would be interesting. And I agree that with what you said, that it would be sort of for the purpose of just sort of, kind of acknowledgement. And yeah.
History of the building, because
Yeah.
there have been some changes, like on the other side, the entire plaza was something that was new construction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would be happy to talk to the library about seeing if we can dig some of those photos up. I guess I know one of their concerns is meeting the DLD grant deadline. I forget what DLD stands for. Let me look it up, or maybe Joanna can clarify. But just because of all the stops and starts of everything over the last couple of years during the pandemic, I think they really want to be able to start construction so that they can meet the deadline for the funding. I'm reading a message from Joanna. I will see that we
Division.
can look. Yeah, we looks like we might be able to. Got it. Okay, so one of the reasons that they, in addition to trying to not bring the whole building up to compliance, but at least bring that one ramp up to being more compliant for ADA accessibility, adding stairs somewhere else is cost prohibitive, and also because of the because it involves rerouting the whole walkway, which is why they are eliminating them. Yeah.
Yeah, if I'm sorry if I gave you the wrong impression, I really don't think that I am criticizing what you're proposing. I think to me it makes a lot of sense. It just I would like to get some documentation of what was there before, and it's basically for historical purposes, so that we have a record of how the building evolved and why it changed that way. Because I know, if I remember correctly, the construction on this was in the 20s and the 1920s. And certainly when it was built, handicapped accessibility was certainly not an issue. So there wouldn't have been a ramp. The ramp is a subsequent addition to try and provide handicapped accessibility to the building once handicapped accessibility became a driving factor. And certainly that is important as far as providing access to the community. So all I'm looking for at this particular point is just some documentation of what was there before.
Yeah, and I think that we just got a response in the chat. Absolutely, I agree and would like to see the historical photos myself, as do I. I think that sounds interesting. I think also, just to bring it back to the proposal, just very quickly, we're gonna, the proposal is really just keeping it very simple. Same material, brick, the area of the landing that's being extended for a place where the existing stairs are will hopefully look as seamless as possible. There will be some repair to the existing brick wall as well, where it just needs to be repointed a little bit. And then same thing with the railing. The railing will be just an extension of the existing railing. So it's really a very light touch project in terms of design. It's really just about kind of keeping it within the language that is existing, even though if it's not original to the building, it's kind of the most understated language that we can think of. And then the other thing I just wanted to point out is that there is a garden bed that is directly to the let's see, you can see it you can see it sort of just to the side of this existing stairs. And again, with planting that garden bed with more planting after construction, potentially, there's always potential for more planting in a garden bed like that. The view would be even more obscured, or as that shrub, the existing shrub continues to sort of grow. I'm imagining, I'm hearing, I think there's going to be sort of extended gardening at the library. I've just, from what's going on the other side and what I've been hearing. So I imagine that you really won't see much of that extruded.
I don't think that is an issue. And
Okay.
Just for your information, we really discount the use of any vegetative
Right.
material to screen stuff because, you
Yes,
know,
it can always go away.
yeah, it can die.
I hear you.
So I think I've talked now for, you know, 20 minutes. So do I have any thoughts or comments from other board members?
Go
I
ahead,
have no issue whatsoever. I think it would be an entirely different conversation if the ramp was not there, but it is, and the dissection of that doorway is not exactly visually pleasing. I think this is good.
I agree with Todd. I've tried, I mean, I use that ramp actually a lot with a kid in a stroller. I've, you know, seen how messy the whole situation is. And I think it's not a giant visual impact. It's barely visible from most public rights of way. I just don't have a huge issue with this project. I think we need to do what we have to do to get people on wheels in and out of the library.
Yep. John?
I agree. And I think it's particularly, I think it, as Andrea said, it's actually going to kind of clean up the entry on that facade a lot more. And
Mess.
the fact that it doesn't have to, there's no need for adjustments to the existing door and opening and all of that trim or either of the windows is great. So I would make a motion to accept the application as submitted.
Okay, well, I guess I'm gonna probably have to add some notes because we need, you know, we need to call out the materials that are going to be used. I see it says, it's kind of hard to read exactly what that little note is, but the fact that it's going to be what is existing and what is new, that needs to be sort of called out. So I can do a markup of that when I'm approving it. So I would ask you to modify your motion to
As modified.
as
I
modified.
will move to accept the application as modified.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Well, okay, well, Andrea, your vote.
Aye.
Todd,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
and I vote aye. It's approved. All right.
Thanks so much. And I'm sure the library and Joanna also appreciate.
Well, if you could,
attention.
yeah, if
And
you
if-
could take a look through your files for the historic photos and send a copy to us, and we'll put it in our files so that we have a record of how the building changed over the years. Okay,
Yes, great. Thanks so much.
all right, thank you.
All right. Have a good night.
Bye.
all. Bye.
Bye-bye. The next item on the agenda is 17 Parrot Street. We have Daniel and Diane, or maybe just Daniel.
Diane is here
Oh,
also, not on
okay.
screen.
Hi, are you comfortable sharing the application materials, or do you want me to share them for
Do you
you?
mind sharing them?
Not at all.
They're not as neat looking as the library's application materials, I will warn you.
That's fine.
A little more raw.
Let me just make sure they're all facing the right direction before I do it. Okay, hold on. Okay.
I put the whole application PDF in that PDF, Sean.
Yep. So the main kind of it's a two-part application. The first part is having to do with some replacement windows. So we can talk about that first.
Before we get into this, did we have a referral on the Butterfield Library?
Yes, we have a referral. It's on the server.
Okay, thank you.
And we have the copy of the application is as well. It just came in a little late, the application itself. Okay, so this is, why don't you tell us what we're looking at here?
So we're on the west side of Parrot Street, heading up the hill. the elevation that you're looking at is the side of the original house. There's an addition in the back, but those two sets of twin windows were not original to the house because that actually was a wraparound porch in its previous life, closed by the time we bought it. So those are the last two windows that have never been changed. They're single pane, wood windows. We're turning that room from just an ancillary former kids' playroom to kids' homework room, and now kids are grown and on their own, to a powder room and an office, which we have a building permit for. But I needed to go, through the steps of changing those windows so they're obviously more energy efficient and new and actually can be opened, because those are, you had to hit them with a hammer to get them up and down.
Yeah.
So the plan is to replace them with Anderson twin windows, exact same size, exact twins. So, the rough opening really wouldn't even be changed. And that's what they would, they would look basically like they do now, except when we get to step 2, the idea would be to tie in all the trim, because that trim is a bit of a mishmash, have all the trim become consistent and look the same. So I don't know if you want to look at the Anderson window catalog first, or
oh, sorry, I'm
whatever you like. I can talk about whatever order.
Okay,
So this
so
is the trim detail that you're proposing.
Yes.
for both, two of them, one for each pair of windows.
Exactly. And then eventually, when we do the siding, all the windows would take on that same look.
Okay.
And these are the Anderson 400, which
Anderson
are the
400 series tilt wash. It's a
Right.
wood window.
with the vinyl covering.
It's actually Fibrex. It's wood fiber and vinyl fiber extruded together. The only reason I know that is because I used to work for Anderson years and years ago.
Oh, great.
Co-extruded material in the exterior and a wood window core. And it's a full frame new construction window. It's not a replacement window.
And is this the same model that all of the other windows have been replaced to?
The other windows in the house were not tilts because tilts were not available at that time, but they are the 400 series double hungs, just not tilts.
So it's the same exterior material.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Can you tell us what's so special about the Fibrex cover? I'm just out of curiosity.
Well, it's it's a low maintenance material, which is great. It's a lot of reuse of wood fibers from the Anderson factory, and then they don't reuse vinyl fibers. Those are virgin vinyl that's purchased, and it's just co-extruded and forms this weatherproof, basically exterior. They used to do a vinyl wrap around the wood, Mr. Zielinski, and then they switched to this. It performs better. It doesn't fade over time. Not that white windows fade that much, but their darker windows were fading over time. So these were better, the Fibrex, and they use it for a lot of different materials. They use it underneath the patio doors because it won't rot. They use it in a lot of places where wood that's not seen is good not to be used.
So it's just for the sill that's using the Fibrex, and then
that where you have the arrow right there on the very exterior part is a Fibrex part 2.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So the sashes are a more traditional rigid vinyl.
Sash is wood, and it's I think they call it a polyurea baked on finish on the sash itself.
Interesting. Okay. We've never had them described quite that way before. I
don't work there anymore, but I still remember all that stuff.
Yeah. So there's also a discussion of the siding.
Yeah.
But I think that also kind of affects the windows. So just to be clear, what you're proposing for the trim of these windows doesn't necessarily match what you have elsewhere, because you're going to be updating all of the other window trims to match what you're proposing here. Is that right?
Exactly. When I do the siding, all the trims will take on that look that I provided.
Okay, so that's why
the same material. Yeah,
a period of difference. That's the reason.
Yes, and it's a bit of a hodgepodge. I don't love it. It's just I don't know if I'm being optimistic, thinking I can get the siding done this year, so I might have to reapply for the siding again, but I put it in here in case things work out that well.
Okay. What's the siding of the house currently?
It is in the front, it's asbestos shingles, and in the addition, it's fiber cement.
Okay. And you're proposing to do the entire house in hardy board planks?
Yeah, I'd like
That
to
you-
redo the whole house in it,
Okay,
update the look, make it,
cohesive.
better flashed, everything, because who knows how things are flashed behind that cement siding. I think it's probably just 30-pound felt or 15-pound felt behind that,
Okay.
if I were to guess.
Al, can you remind us what the expiration is on the COAs if they're issued, and
I think it's 2 years.
Oh,
it's 2 years? Okay.
well, that may
so
not
if
be
we-
optimistic then.
So if we issue it to you now, then it's good for 2 years. There's a separate expiration date for the actual building permit itself, but your permit with us your approval with us will be good for 2 years.
Oh, okay, that's great.
So that being the case, we should probably talk about the siding a little bit more as well.
Sure.
I see that you've called out the textured finish in the 8 1/4.
Yeah,
I think the 8 1/4 proportion is totally fine. That's not an issue.
creates a 7-inch exposure, just to clarify. It's 8 1/4, but 1 1/4 overlap for a 7-inch exposure.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
We have in the past requested that anyone using the hardy board uses the smooth surface and not the wood grain surface. The smooth surface looks much more like painted wood
Mhm.
than the wood grain, and it is depending on the color you're using as well, which is something that we don't discuss, but
I wish you would discuss that, because I've seen some projects around me that I'm like, why didn't they hold the color?
You are welcome to express those concerns to the mayor, and maybe
I
that'll
will.
make its way to us.
Yeah.
But sometimes the wood grain in lighter tones can get kind of filthy, especially with pollen and stuff. So would you be
Well-
open to doing the smooth side?
The only thing I have against the smooth side is that I've seen it in applications, and to me, it looks, it's so smooth that it tends to, and I could probably get some pictures of it. It tends to, like, I don't know what the word I'm looking for. It tends to show any waviness in your walls, your exterior walls. It mirrors, I don't know if that's the word I'm looking for. It shows a lot of waviness in your walls. And I know this house is nearing 100 years old. I'm sure there's waviness in my exterior walls. That's something I've noticed myself personally in looking at houses. I'm in the building materials business, so I'm kind of looking at houses all the time. And I just always had a personal, like, I don't like the smooth as much, but.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll tell you one of the other reasons why we don't especially like the cedar mill
Mhm.
or the textured hardy plank, because basically it's not, it doesn't come by the grain naturally, and so what you have is you have a certain number of patterns, because this is all a pressed material that when it's fabricated. So
Right.
there isn't enough variety, and it becomes obvious that this is not a real grain, that it is in fact a faux wood grain material.
Okay.
So, we would rather that it be smooth, so that at least, the issue is not, the typical siding after a number of coats of paint will look more like the cedar, or like the smooth siding, because the paint has removed any trace of the wood grain underneath.
Right. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, sometimes the wood grain looks like a poorly painted wood building and not
Oh.
like Not like
It's
a
like-
well-preserved wood building.
It's like the old, textured interior doors.
Right, exactly.
Yep.
So I always wondered about.
I guess the other question regarding the trim is, regarding the siding is how will you deal with the trim for the windows and all of the detailing and everything else? Is that going to also be done in a composite material?
Yeah, either the hardy trim itself or I've used a few times in the past. I actually used it on the concession building at the Haldane Field.
Mhm.
It's called Boral. It's actually a
yeah.
recycled fly ash material.
Right.
They recycle 70% of it is recycled fly ash from coal plants, so it's kind of a bit of a green story, and it's other than it's wavy when you work with it. Once you put it up, it doesn't give any of the gaps that a PVC trim does. It doesn't move at all.
Right. We've
Every time
approved that for other projects as well.
It's great stuff. I mean, it's dusty, but once it's on the wall, it's awesome.
Right.
So
Okay.
it would either be the hardy trim or that Boral trim, and painted white. Not that you care about the color, but kept simple and clean and hopefully timeless.
Okay. Al, how would you prefer to approve one over the other and ask for the applicant to return if there's a change, or can we approve either of those as option?
Well, I think we can approve either one or both. And let me ask the other board members, does anybody have any objection to approving either or? I'll start with you, Todd.
No, I don't have any objection.
All right, Andrea?
No, I don't. I think Boral is a really good material. And yeah, I would just leave it at
Okay.
that.
So the application, as I see it, is to replace the two windows that are noted and install trim work. Well, let's have the application as this: replace the two windows with Anderson 400s, and then replace all of the siding with hardy board and trim, which would be either the hardy board trim or Boral material. Right, and is that pretty much it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So
So,
I do think, Al, just that is something that would have to be bubbled on the
Right.
approval, just
Yeah.
because it's
So-
not entirely clear.
right, so do I have a motion from anybody?
I will make a motion to accept the application as modified, noting the two composite trims.
All right. Do I have a second?
I will
Andrea?
second. I will second that.
Okay, so Sean, your vote.
Aye.
Todd,
I
Andrea,
Aye.
and I vote aye. Okay,
Thank
Great.
you.
Mr. Hughes.
So Dan, what'll happen is Al over the weekend will process the application, and he will forward the approval to the clerk, who will then forward it to the building inspector. I can't remember when you applied originally, but for the time being, the building permits are being issued through the town while we are without a code enforcement officer. But
Been in
so-
touch with Greg. He's coming Monday to do the insulation inspection on that room.
Oh,
before I-
perfect. Okay, great. Yeah. So everything will be drawn up and handed over to them after the weekend.
Great. Thank you guys very much.
Actually, what I'll do is, typically what I do is I send it directly to the town inspector, and you'll get a copy of it also,
Great.
of the certificate.
You remember
Okay.
Mr. Zelinski 20 years ago when you chaired the addition to the house as well?
You're testing my memory banks. and-
I didn't realize it until I was joining the meeting. I'm like, wait a minute, I feel like I've been in front of this board before.
Well, 20 years ago wasn't a Zoom meeting, so.
No, you're right. You're right. All right. Thank you all very much.
All right, thank you.
Night.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Okay,
Okay,
and next
yeah.
is 20 Rock Street. Hi,
Hello.
Julian, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you all?
Good. Do you have your application materials or would you like me to share them for you?
I have them. I'd be happy to share them on my screen.
Okay, great. And just before you do that, I realized that there wasn't a photo of the front of the house included, so I'm just going to quickly show everybody your house so they know
I
what
was
we're
gonna do
talking
the same, yeah.
about. So this is the house in question. Is it not? It is, right?
That is the one.
Okay, good. All right. Now you can share your photos.
Great. All right. Well, thank you guys very much for the time. Let me just pull this up. Okay. All right. Yeah, so Sean, thanks for showing the house picture. That was my initial thing. But for my request is to build a 6-foot solid panel cedar fence in the rear yard and the side yard. I'll show you a survey. Let me know if you guys have any issues seeing anything. But I first went through the ZBA board to request a variance for this side yard. Can you guys see okay?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So the blue highlights the intended area for the fence. So I received a variance. We basically compromised for the variance to build 6-foot tall fence here, running adjacent to this driveway. But then this side will be a 4-foot fence on this part. So everything besides this little piece would be 6 feet. And then this would be 4. And so in terms of the design, I would like to, I'll show you a drawing of that. Let's see. So here's an actual drawing. So for the 6-foot, it would just be looking like this cedar wood. And then I have a photograph, this guy here. And the intention behind this design is the location of our property. It's sandwiched between two business district driveways that have quite a bit of disruptive traffic and not only vehicles, but foot traffic. And that's part of why the variance was granted, because it is kind of a unique location. So we're hoping in putting this design of a fence, it will mitigate that, disruption for our family. And let's see, some photographs of the yard. So this is the backyard. This is facing west. So this would be, one side here. And I might just do a space bar. This, just let me know if you guys want me to stop on a particular picture, but this is facing where the 4-foot side of the fence would go. So from here, including the gate, and the design of the gate is identical to the design of the fence.
Mm-hmm.
So it would go here for 4 feet. Sorry, let's see. There we go. And then this is facing east. Also facing east. And so this is another big driving factor for this style fence. This is directly behind our yard. We have a private parking lot. So we would love to just conceal that somewhat. So this would be.
Is that Pig Hill?
No, this is Pig Hill is down the road. This is actually, I want to say this yellow building was Country Goose. And so this is all Main Street right here.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think this is not Antique Alley. This is, what's it called? The Shops at Cold Spring.
Yep.
Yeah. And let's see.
And the parking lot is parking lot for those buildings?
For those buildings, for the employees of those buildings, and there are also tenants that live there. So I believe tenants live here and they access this driveway.
Mm-hmm.
But also employees come in here and work. And this kind of gives you another angle of it. Let's see if I can give you a better, forgive all the bopping around. Let me know if I need to slow down. On
No,
this.
now I'm finally oriented, and now I actually, I thought I knew where this house was, and this is much more clear now, but you guys are tucked way back. Yeah.
Yeah, we're kind of like, someone on the ZBA described us as an island in a way, because we
Yeah,
really
I
do have
know.
these two driveways. So this kind of
Yeah.
faces from the backyard. This square area is where
Yep.
the variance would happen. This is a 6 foot. And so we'd love to
Yeah.
continue that style fence over here. And here's another angle.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wide open.
And so just to be clear to the board, because this whole 6 foot fence change is new for us. The reason why there needed to be a variance is because anything beyond so where the downspout is on the gutter, that's considered the rear of the building. So
Oh.
anything in front of that is considered a side yard fence. So as Julian is describing, so to go up as far as the existing gate on the side, it would not, it can't be 6 feet as of right. It requires a variance. So, which I think, given the shape of your yard and everything, it makes sense that that's where you would want the fence to end, but that's the reason why it wasn't an as of right 6 foot fence for this area.
Well, but let me ask a question. I thought that 6 foot fence was as of right when it abutted commercial uses.
I think it's only as of right when it abuts 2 different zones. But again, it's kind of, it's neither here nor there, but the reason why I was just explaining why the variance, the reason why the variance was sought was because the fact that the fence is moving up closer to the street along the side of the house. But yeah,
All right, well,
that old rule about the 6 foot fences was, I think, between it wasn't between residential and commercial uses. I think it was between residential and commercial zones. But anyway.
No, I mean, if I remember correctly, it was specifically uses. But I guess the reason I'm asking the question is that in the past, one of our concerns has been the use of that. Essentially, this is a stockade fence, and I can easily see it, and we have approved it where we're blocking the views to a piece of commercial property, so the question becomes whether or not we are still concerned about the stockade appearance of the fence.
Oh, because you're saying because it's in more of a mixed use zone.
Well, what is it? It looks like there's a driveway right next to you. Now let's go back to the image.
There's a driveway on each side, going back to the commercial buildings on Main Street, right?
Yeah, we have a driveway on both sides of us. So this is the driveway facing west. This one actually goes down to like Catherine's restaurant. All the employees go down here.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's also Antique Alley. And also this driveway, cars are constantly parked here. Unfortunately, I didn't get a photograph of it, but it's not only employees, but tenants. So tenants are permitted to park here. So it's usually like sandwiched right against our property.
All right, and what it looks like is the person on the other side of the driveway got permission to build a 6 foot fence along the driveway.
Yep.
And the fence looks pretty much exactly like what you've proposed.
Yeah.
Right?
That was my intention, is to try to at least have it be identical to what's already existing there.
Yep.
Okay.
So I can show you the other side too. So that's one side. And so this is the other side. Additionally, these immediate buildings are short-term rental buildings. So in terms of, permanent neighbors, it's always transient there. But this actual driveway here is just employees coming in and out and tenants.
And there's
I-
parking alongside both of those buildings too, isn't there? Angled parking?
Yes, let me try to get a better angle of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see that there.
Yeah.
Sorry, one sec. I had a bajillion photos. Now, of course, they're not coming up. One sec. Let me just hop into my ZBA app. I think I had some pictures there. Sorry, one sec. I'll pull it up on my Dropbox if that's all right.
That's fine. I
I have no issues with this application. at
yeah, I
all.
mean, I know that there's angled parking there because I am familiar with this
Yeah.
portion of the district. Is the only gate that you're proposing, it's on the 4-foot section similar to where the existing gate is? You don't need to have gates on any of the 6-foot areas?
Correct. Yeah, that's the only gate I would intend to put up.
Okay.
All right.
And is the fence design that you're proposing a double-sided fence, or is there a visible rail?
The fence.
No, it's a panel between posts. If you go to the photograph,
Yeah.
No, I realize that it's a panel between posts, but is the panel a double-sided panel, or is it a?
Oh, do you mean like the other side of the fence?
Yeah, like is the interior side of this fence, does it have a visible rail, or?
Oh, okay. I think it does. Let's see.
Yeah, wait, go back to the catalog cut.
Yep.
You can see
Yeah.
the horizontal rail.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so
that-
the only thing for this then is just that which your fencing contractor, I'm sure would tell you anyway, but the sort of good side of the fence is the one that needs to be on the outside.
Right.
So
Yeah, we intended to do that anyways, just to,
Right.
make it look nice for everybody else.
To be neighborly.
To be neighborly as much
To
as
be
yeah.
neighborly to all those cars.
Right.
And then the post caps, they'll be the same as indicated in the photo.
Correct.
Okay.
All right.
Oh,
Can-
I'm sorry.
Well, it just, if you could also email me a photograph of the gate that you'll be using.
I can check with the fence company. I requested that photograph and they told me they didn't have one on hand. They said it would essentially look just like the fence. I can see if I can try to get some sort of, similar
Well,
reference.
you can go to them and say you'll take your business to a fence manufacturer that can provide a photograph.
Yeah.
I think that
That's a good way to get one.
Okay.
The actual catalog cut as well, I don't think was included in the application. So if you could forward that over to us, we have the fence image, but not this page itself.
Okay, I'll check with them because I requested that and they just told me to grab a photograph from their website, which is this photograph here.
Right.
So I don't know if they have a catalog. I can ask them what.
No, just this page that we're looking at right now. That's fine. Just you can just email me this page.
Oh, I'm sorry. Gotcha. You got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'm happy to share those parking lot pictures. I just have to pull them up on my website if you guys are interested in seeing that.
I don't need to see them.
Okay.
How about you, Todd? You need to see them?
Oh, no, sorry. No, you could see one in the pictures that you had up. You could see one diagonal in the
Yeah.
park. So no, I'm good.
How about you, Andrew? You need to see them?
No, I think this is self-explanatory. I'm
Okay.
really not worried about this application at all.
Okay, do I have a motion concerning the application?
I will make a motion to approve the application as submitted.
Okay, and am I correct? Because, the picket top styles, it will be the same as what is on the elevation or any of those? I guess that's number 5, right?
Yes, on the bottom. that illustration on the bottom of the page.
Right, right.
Yeah, it's number
But
5.
yeah, okay,
Oh, yes, correct.
okay. All right, so do I have a motion concerning the application?
Yes, I make a motion to accept the application as submitted.
Do I have, were you seconding or?
No, I
were
was
you-
making the motion.
Okay, do I have a
He's-
second?
I'll second.
Okay, Todd, we'll start with you. Your vote.
Aye.
Andrea,
Aye.
Sean,
Aye.
and I vote aye. Okay, Julian, you got your fence.
Thank you guys very much. I really appreciate it.
All right, so if you could get me, an image similar to that of what the gate would look like, I would really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I will look into it first thing tomorrow.
Okay,
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you
Thank
guys so
you.
much for your time. And sorry, just to confirm, so over the weekend, I think you were talking with the other gentleman that the building department will process it and I'll hear back next week. Is that kind of the general?
yeah, I mean, typically when I process the certificate of appropriateness, I send it to the building inspector. In this case, it would be the town and building inspector or code enforcement official. But I will copy you on the, and I'm assuming that you emailed this stuff to Sean so that your email address would be on some document. Right?
It should be. Yeah.
Okay, typically it's on the application form,
Okay.
right?
All right.
So,
Thank you guys.
Yeah, you'll get it when the building inspector gets it. Okay,
Great. Sounds good. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
okay, thank
you.
you.
Good evening.
Okay. No public to comment.
All
Is
right.
there anything else anyone wants to get off their chest during public comment period? I'm gonna open the minutes for, we have 2 sets of minutes. The 4:20 minutes we can do because we're all here. I made some comments a couple weeks ago, which we can go through. The first item was 20 Church Street. I just was clarifying some of the notes about the scope of the project. Just that the building is going to, project described as expansion of the building to increase living space.
On
then-
the second floor,
Sorry?
the living space on the second floor, right?
It's the second floor and the first floor because they were adding that sun room as well. But I think it was just it's the second item. It was described as an expansion of the second floor, but they're actually fully replacing the second story, which I think we should note, considering there will be a period wherein the entire second story of this building is not there while it's being constructed. Those were my notes. Those were my only comments, actually. Are there any other comments on 20 Church that we should have reflected?
No, I didn't see anything.
Okay. Oh, typo. Board. Okay, then 30 Fair Street. This was Mr. Fortier with his rear deck. Let me see. No, oh, I don't know why I added the word throughout the rest of the house. So I just wanted to note, even though it wasn't part of the actual application, but it was part of the discussion, that we did make it clear to the applicant that we would be unlikely to approve vinyl clad windows to replace the wood windows in the house, because he mentioned that that was something he was thinking about doing. However, we were comfortable with the vinyl windows on the rear because they were replacing later replacement windows. It wasn't the original wood windows of the house.
Mhm.
And also, just to be clear, that when we were talking about the siding, it was we were talking about non-asbestos replacement shingles for older asbestos shingles. We were not insinuating that he should use new asbestos shingles.
Right. And we also approved an option form where he would re-side that rear facade with hardy board.
Yes, which is indicated later.
Right.
8 Locust Ridge. This was the discussion of the pool and the fence and everything else. I moved this whole section down later because because we talked about the fence and approved it. We talked about the shed and approved it. And then we talked about the railing. We started talking about the railing and then talked about it again, but to reflect, for it to make sense to anybody reading it, I moved the whole porch railing discussion further down because that wasn't actually part of an application. So that's why that whole thing was
All right,
shifted.
but there was a discussion concerning the fence.
Right, so so all of the fence discussion is here,
Okay.
which remains, and then the approval, because those were 2 separate applications, the shed discussion and approval. And then this is just our discussion of the increase of height to the porch railing, because that wasn't actually part of the application. It was just images that images that they were showing us for our input, but that wasn't
Right. Well,
part of
scroll
their
up.
application.
Yeah, scroll up to where the discussion about the fence. Okay. Right, because there is no horizontal rails on the outside. The horizontal rails are on the inside.
Right. Oh, this is a part of this sentence. Sorry, when I put these things into Google Docs, sometimes the formatting gets messed up. Is that not accurate here? Spindles and pickets between 2 rails. Oh, is that the fence? Spindles and pickets. Oh, right, because they're not actually sandwiched.
Right, in other words, it's run continuously across.
Well, it's paneled and it's paneled and it's placed in between posts. I think it was I think Karen was referring to the 2 rails, as in this rail and this rail.
Right, the top and bottom rail,
Right.
but they're on the inside. And if I remember correctly, the pickets just ran across. All right, I'd have to go take a look and see. But
Yeah,
I
I think
thought
this is accurate as written, right? We're talking about this line here.
Yeah.
Spigots.
Well, 2 by 2 spindles, then they're not really spindles, they're posts.
2 by 2.
Those are the posts, right?
No, the posts are 4 by 4. The pickets are 2 by 2. They're square. They're not flat. It's like
Okay.
it's like the,
Okay, all right.
do you understand what I mean? It's the
Yeah.
same as the top part.
Right.
All right, I'm just actually going to change this because I'm just going to say it is spindles and pickets are mounted on 2 rails only on the inside. I think it's the word between that made it sound like it was being sandwiched when we're explicitly saying it's not, as opposed to between.
Okay. But just to be consistent, if we're saying the 2x2s are spindles, then there are no pickets.
Right. So we'll
It just spindles, right?
Okay, then the discussion of the
Wait,
shed.
wait,
Oh,
wait, wait.
sorry.
Inspector C Mountain. Oh, as recommended by
Former.
Former. Okay,
Right.
got it. Okay,
The shed is, we approved it. We didn't even really talk about it very much. And then this is the discussion of the porch railing. And then the last thing was 41 Garden Street, was just the discussion of the fence. This was when she came the first time. And that we just talked about the material, the use of the lattice, and that it was not a stockade fence.
okay, I guess is an extension to the kitchen or as opposed to on the kitchen?
On approval for the extension of the kitchen.
All right.
Okay. No public comment. We voted on minutes. Great. So I will make a motion to accept the minutes of April 20th as submitted.
Do I have a second? Todd, your turn.
I was yelling it with no sound on. I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye. Okay, approved.
Okay.
Next.
And then these are the 4 meeting, which we were all at. This is the, this was the actual approval of 41 Garden Street. I was just noting that it was the first fence to be approved by the board since the new code regarding, I just wanted to say regarding fence height, because that was kind of the change. It wasn't, that was specifically how it affects us. And so that was 41, and then we got into the discussion of the ZBA. Does anyone have any comments on 41 before we move on?
No, we're good.
Great. So in the discussion of the ZBA, I think this all makes sense. I did just correct multiple times, just changed building inspector to code enforcement officer, because that's what our code calls for.
I agree.
See that you just scrolled past the CEO too. Yeah.
Space. Yeah.
Oh, wait, hold on. I need to go to a different thing. Okay. Yes.
Do I have a motion to accept the minutes as submitted?
Yes, I will make a motion to accept the minutes as submitted.
Okay, Andrea, your turn.
I will second because
Oh,
I will give Todd a turn and then I will take a turn.
All right. Divide and conquer.
that's right. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
And now on to everybody's favorite topic.
Yay.
Oh, no.
Well,
Tabled until next meeting.
yes, but let's sort of finish up on the latest concerning the issue concerning the sequencing of applications.
Oh, okay.
What is that? Because I know that the issue was raised with the village clerk,
Right.
and as well as I think you also reached out to the planning board.
Right. So the way that I left it with them yesterday or earlier today was that the clerk said that the village is going to be moving forward with some technological advance because they can't technically use Google Docs for security. So they're going to be moving to Microsoft Teams. So there will be the ability for, let the record show Todd's not impressed. There will be the ability for documents to be shared and commented upon like we do currently with Google. So that's just kind of the technology side. And it sounds like where we left it with Eric, Jack is the planning board chair is open to sort of in concept, which would essentially be a system where if a application is referred to two or more of the boards, it will be sent to the boards or the board chairs, or probably the chairs and vice chairs, and the 2 or 3 boards among themselves would determine the sequence of meetings so that when the referral is issued to the applicant, it will be issued with a suggestion on the order in which they should seek their approvals. Because as Eric pointed out last week or 2 weeks ago, an applicant is entitled to simultaneous reviews if they wish, but this would just be our way of telling applicants that, this will likely be the most efficient way of dealing with it.
Okay.
So it sounds like it would be something that could be done, outside of session. It could be done. The planning chair was concerned about making the decision sort of unilaterally, but I would leave it to him to decide if he wanted input from the rest of the board before giving his input to us. But it sounds like it could be done somewhat with somewhat of ease.
Yeah, I don't think that, I understand his concern about making a unilateral decision, but it's not a unilateral decision regarding the application. It's regarding the sequence of which the application is heard by the board. So
Right.
it's more a procedural decision rather than a substantive decision concerning the application. So
Right. And I think that there are definitely times where any one of the 3 boards would have sort of the most at stake over whether the application moves forward at all. If somebody is coming before us wanting to convert a residential structure, a home into a car dealership, like the first step before it even, they're first going to have to get their change of use. Then they're going to, there's all these kind of things that have to happen first. So there could be times where we are last, and because our portion of the discussion is sort of the least macro and most micro, and there could be times where we are first because somebody wants to tear the building down to make something else in its place, so there are times when any one of the 3 boards is going to be the kind of most significant.
Okay, I guess the only question I have is who in fact issues the referral now?
It will
Is
still
there-
come from the building inspector.
So the town building inspector, in fact, will, issues the referrals?
Well, no, I mean, they issue the referrals, but it's Jeff who actually physically emails them. Is
Right,
that what you're
okay,
asking?
yeah, because,
Yeah.
in reality, I have a hard time seeing that Greg is going to know enough about the village.
Right. Yeah, I think it would be, he would determine the relevant boards that the project would have to go to. And then the chairs would work with Jeff on this sort of
Right.
sequence.
Right, so Jeff is going to be the key person as far as the document that's issued to the applicant. Okay,
I believe so. Yeah. I mean, that's how it looks like it's happening now. I mean,
at least until we get our own building inspector, I think
right.
that's the way it's got to work.
They're all coming from Jeff. So I'm assuming that he's the one who's actually writing them up, and they look identical to our old ones. So I don't think
Right.
it's coming from Linda. I think he's doing it. So that's the plan.
Okay,
And if it
I-
sucks, then we'll change it later. But I mean,
Right.
that's at least gives us, at least there's a consistency, and not an arbitrary consistency, but a informed consistency.
All right.
okay,
Cool.
so do I have a motion to table the update on design standards?
Well, is there an update? Does
Wait, I have an update.
I
No, Todd, no,
Andrea.
what's Todd's update? I would like to hear it.
No,
not allowed.
I'm just saying, Andrea, you need to send me those addresses that for and I'll take pictures. again.
Okay. So, Todd, you are a better photographer than I am. So there are, okay, I think I know what you're referring to. So, I have like a little file open that's, anyone can dump anything into, I'm pretty sure. That's just specifically the architectural style section photos. And I grabbed a bunch from you, Todd. I grabbed a bunch from you, Sean, because that wasn't my photograph assignment. I was told to do like commercial signage and things like that. So I don't have a bunch of those. So what I would like, I could take the pictures myself, but if you trust me, but Todd, you're right across the street from my friend. Oh God, my friend Claudia. The one photo I want of a mid-century residential structure, I don't know, I'm just so hung up on this house. My friend Claudia owns the house that's on Wall Street in Chestnut.
Yeah, behind Tommy and Katie.
It's
behind
like
the Blue
tucked,
House.
yeah, it's like tucked way back.
Yeah.
I think it's a really nice example. Another nice example is another one on actually kind of my own street, but like Haldane. It's actually I think it's the only address on Haldane. Yeah, and it's a beautiful mid-century ranch, but it's so obscured by huge rhododendrons that I could not get, even though it's my neighbor's house and a friend of mine, I could not get a good picture of the facade and the way it sits in the landscape. So it was ended up being a bad example.
Okay.
There's the Amorica house. Like I looked at some of the other things we had, but I would love to get a good picture of that
Yeah,
one
I think 40
house.
Wall is probably the best. The
I
only
love
other
it.
one that I can think of is
So
46
clean.
Paulding, but I think that
It's all-
they're doing work on that.
Okay.
Folding. Oh no, I really like the one on. I really like the one on Wall Street. It's
Right.
like nice and clean and clear. It's very.
There's no, like stuff in the
There's no
drive.
stuff in the way. Right.
So,
Can
I'm
Can
just
you
trying.
can you send to Todd the addresses you would
Yeah.
like for him to photograph?
Was that the only one that we needed? Was the mid?
There's like two. Okay, I made this project too complicated for myself, like I said, but I did narrow it down. I have it in the Google documents, on, you know, like on our drive. I really just, as far as I can tell, I need a stick style house. And I need a mid-century residence, which is what I want. I want my Claudia's house on Chestnut and Wall near you, Todd. And
Yeah.
then I'll get the exact address for you. And then I need like a good, specifically stick style house. There's a pretty good example on my corner, but again, there's always like cars parked in front
Yeah.
and it's just messy.
Is
And
that what you have called Foursquare, or is that something different?
Foursquare, I think I go through my file. I'll go through my file. You shouldn't.
I see it. I see this folder called Architectural Styles Photos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's the
So
one.
Foursquare is kind of crooked.
If you have a
So-
better example, Todd, go take a picture. I'm just trying to get this thing knocked out so
Yeah.
that we can send it to Kirsten because I don't want to make her wait.
Okay, so we need a Foursquare.
Yeah, I just use we have tons of Foursquares in the village, God knows.
Okay.
And I didn't want to repeat, so I just had to like be very careful not to repeat images.
Yeah. Okay.
Honestly, even Kathleen Foley's house would be a great example, but there's always a car parked in front. And as a short person, I had a very hard time taking a picture of myself.
Yeah.
What about Mati and Anita's house on Orchard Street? It's number 9 Orchard Street. It's a
Yes.
2-family. It's sort of a pinkish brick, but it is
Yeah, that's the other thing. I second guess myself because there are so many in the village that I start thinking, oh, I've chosen the wrong one. This
Right.
can't possibly be right. There's going to be
Okay.
something, because I read something about in the description in our text, it said that the door had to be like centered. Like I wanted to make sure that the text matched the image.
Okay.
And so it said something about and this was the hitch for me with the Foursquare, is
Yeah.
that it had to be like centered.
right.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's where, so those 2 examples I really had trouble with, weirdly.
All right, so I will go by 9 Orchard. I will go by the one across from me.
Yeah.
And then the only other thing, I'm gonna share my screen.
Yeah,
What is this? Do you see this?
yeah.
What is that? That
Okay,
doesn't have
so-
a name to it.
That was one that was recommended by, it was in the like little like cloud formation in our design guidelines document. And this house was, so this is on Church Street.
Mhm.
And this was recommended as, how did I label it? I can't see.
It doesn't say, actually, it just says DS.
Oh, no, okay. I know I put that in there for a reason because it was one of the recommended styles. I think it was it Queen Anne?
It could be.
I was still learning the technology of this whole stupid Google Doc thing. I'm sorry, I'm a Luddite. But
I'm gonna call it Queen Anne, but
I would.
do you know where this is? I'll see.
It's
if
on Church Street.
It's 14 Church Street.
Yeah,
14 Church.
I can like see it from my house. Yes, it's like, yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right,
Sorry,
cool.
I meant to
will-
label that Queen Anne. So we have like, we don't have a ton of Queen Anne's left in the village that are like a good example, but that one is.
All right, hopefully I can get clear photos.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, all the other Queen Anne's have been, unfortunately, like, I do walk around.
Would the
There
one
are-
with the manse for the Presbyterian Church on Academy behind my house, would that be considered Queen Anne? 'Cause
Al, you're the expert.
Which house?
Directly, isn't it called the manse, the church house that's behind, next to the Presbyterian Church behind my house on Academy Street?
I can't
Ugh.
picture. I can't picture what that looks like.
Well, Todd, there's a
I
really
will
good
take a
example.
couple. Yeah.
Yeah, there's only a few because they all burn to the ground, honestly. They're
Because they're all made out of wood
No,
with
they-
balloon
they,
construction.
yeah, with balloon construction. So there was a beautiful example 2 doors down for me that burned to the ground. Then there's one left that's on like Morris Ave and Haldane, like right, you know, like right across from Haldane school campus. But it's all like clad. So this is what I keep finding.
Right.
Any example I find, if they're clad in like horrible asbestos siding and they're like whitewashed, you know, like you can't even see what they
The
were.
one across from by the Tots Park and across that white one on the corner.
The white one on the corner, yeah. And it's just like,
Can we, do you think, I mean, because that's such a, I have a good picture of that and
no, but it's
it's like
it's,
clear and open and it's, if it's small, do you really think that anyone's gonna be able to tell that it's?
Well, we are also using that image.
Oh, we are?
We're using it in one of the other sections as well, I
I
remember.
think that was the problem, yeah. And
Oh,
so
is
that's why I
there-
chose this one.
Is
Okay.
there not a Queen Anne up on Paulding near like Sean and Adriana's house? Is there one like on that
No.
little strip?
Well, and this is the other problem, Sean, is that we end up repeating images. Because
Right.
it's like, look at this beautiful mansion. And then we decided that we did, and I saw this in the notes of the document, that we didn't want to keep showing examples of extravagant versions
Right,
Yeah.
right.
of
Okay.
styles, because people wouldn't understand, like, oh, I don't live in a mansion, so whatever.
Right.
And so I was trying to find a modest example, and we really have very few.
All right, well,
Cool.
I will.
That's why I went with
do
this.
These
And
and,
that house is horrible to photograph. It's so far up on a little tiny hill.
yeah,
It's really hard.
okay. All right, cool.
It's Jeff Mickle. Do you know Jeff Mickelson? Michelson?
No,
It's his. Oh, okay. I was gonna say you could probably ask if you could get closer to the house for a photo. He might let
I'll
you.
just,
Oh, yeah.
I'll
I'm
just.
sure they wouldn't mind.
Okay, cool.
All right.
That's all I have.
Somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Yeah. Did you give to Lloyd all of your requested structural changes that we talked about?
As far as the text goes?
Yeah, remember in the A to Z, you wanted to move things around and you wanted some
Yeah.
things to be moved. Is that all resolved?
No,
Okay. What?
I can't talk about it. Sorry. No.
Will it
I-
be resolved in a
It
timely
will,
manner?
it will be resolved because the main
God.
thrust of what I'm going to do is to delete text because it'll be incorporated in the later appendices. So that, that should be, it's a simple step of deletion. Of
Okay,
the-
but let's just make sure that it's not deleted, but it's just shifted so that we can find it when we need it later on and not.
Yeah, I mean, certainly it is there, and what we need to do is save it a newer I guess the edited version as a separate file. So
Okay. I will
All
make a
right.
motion to adjourn.
I'll
Second.
second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. See
Night,
you
guys.
guys first week in June.
Night.
Great, good night.
Good night.